Haaland set for Man City talks, Ronaldo hits more records, Madrid planned Chelsea swap deal, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host Matt Froelich. You are the One Footballers and this is the Daily News. So first off, and it seems inevitable that eventually Erling Haaland will make a move from Borussia Dortmund to one of the top clubs in Europe. And according to the latest reports, that could be Manchester City, of course the team that his father played for. Now I say that Haaland's set for talks in January with Manchester City. It's more like his agent, super agent, Mino Raiola. He's doing all the bidding for Haaland, and I'm sure he'll have more than one or two clubs blowing up his phone about the possibility of signing the Norwegian forward, especially if his release clause, which is to be believed in his contract, is around £68 million. There is nowhere else on the market that you find that quality of striker for that kind of price. Now, of course, like I mentioned, there will be pretty much every single club that would want to sign a striker like Haaland, but the reason I think it works for Manchester City is A, they've got the money, B, he's got a bit of a connection to the club with his father playing there, and C, Manchester City need a centre forward. It's pretty clear they're not going to go back in for Harry Kane, so they might as well spend half the money on a player 8 years younger, and who knows, probably with a more higher ceiling of potential. Haaland can do everything. He's ridiculously good, and under Pep Guardiola, surely he's only going to get better. He would be the perfect front man for Manchester City, and the rest of the Premier League and probably Europe as well should start to be worried if they manage to get him to sign on the dotted line. Of course, Raiola will be sending out feelers to all sorts of clubs, and at the end of the day, I'm sure he'll take home a pretty big pay packet from this deal as well. The only other team in the Premier League that I could have seen rival Manchester City for Erling Haaland would have been Chelsea, but after signing Romelu Lukaku this summer, I don't really think they're going to go in for him. If they manage to sign Haaland, there is no way that they play those two up front. Like, that just sounds like a FIFA move, and I can't see either of them being happy to sit on the bench, so it probably rules out Chelsea. And aside from that, I don't see any of the other teams spending enough money or having really a place in the squad for Haaland. Next up then, and to some of the international football from last night, Cristiano Ronaldo did what Cristiano Ronaldo normally does: score goals and break records. And he also had a bicycle kick, which, had it gone in, may have been an early contender for the Puskás Award. Anyway, despite this, Ronaldo did get on the score sheet 3 times in the 5-0 victory over Luxembourg, and it meant that he had his 10th international hat-trick, his 58th career hat-trick for club and country, and it now means that he scored 115 international goals. He is going to extend that men's record by an absolutely ridiculous amount. Like, you got the rest of the qualifiers, they're probably going to qualify for the World Cup next winter in Qatar, and then they'll probably score a few more there as well. They take on the Republic of Ireland and Serbia in their last 2 games, and if they manage to win them both, they'll be assured of a place at the World Cup. But I have seen, of course, online, 1 or 2 messages on a couple of social media platforms saying that Ronaldo has it easy, only scores against the easy teams, this, that, and the other. And I just wanted to break down maybe some arguments for and against Cristiano Ronaldo, basically against Lionel Messi, when it comes to international goal scoring. Yes, Ronaldo has scored more, and yes, he has scored more against the lesser countries or countries ranked lower. The reason for that, though, is that basically there's a lot more teams from Europe that qualify. So there are 55 potential oppositions for Cristiano Ronaldo when it comes to qualifying for the Euros, when it comes to playing in the Euros, and when it comes to qualifying for the World Cup as well. That's how many nations are in the UEFA qualifying. When it comes to South America, Messi is one of 10 teams with Argentina. So there's only 9 other opponents to score against, 5 of whom are in the top 25 of the FIFA current world rankings. That means Messi has very, very difficult opposition, and it also means he doesn't have the chance to play against these lesser sides that Cristiano Ronaldo does. That kind of goes for or against. I'm not saying that makes Ronaldo better or worse, or Messi better or worse on the international stage. It's just something to take into account when I see a lot of people saying he scores against the lower teams, because yes, he plays them far more often than Lionel Messi does. Anyway, stepping away from that heated debate, which I want to be no part of, and we come to a transfer rumour that may be a little bit of rubbish, but who knows, weirder things have happened, and it concerns Eden Hazard making a return to Chelsea from Real Madrid. Apparently Chelsea would be interested in taking him back, although it would leave their attacking options very, very inflated and make for a very difficult decision for manager Thomas Tuchel, but they'd only be willing to spend around £35 million on the player that they let go for just under £100 million. Real Madrid, of course, don't want to make this much of a loss, so in return, it's apparently reported that they're asking about Reece James, the right back at Chelsea. Now this, for me, is what makes the deal completely unbelievable. Reece James, since his debut in 2019, has been brilliant for Chelsea, proving himself to be one of the best right backs in England, and there's absolutely no way that on a contract until 2026, they'll be letting him go. I mean, they wouldn't have let him go for a ridiculous amount of money. Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti thinks Reece James is a great player and more reliable and better than Dani Carvajal, and a lot younger than him as well. Of course he does. I'm sure most managers in the world would love to have Reece James in their squad. Chelsea just aren't going to let him go, and Real Madrid aren't going to accept a measly 35 million for 30-year-old Eden Hazard. So this deal I can't exactly see going ahead. But when it comes to Chelsea fans, it looks like they'd love to have Hazard back. Of course they would. He was a magical player in the Premier League for so many years, helped them to a couple of Premier Leagues, FA Cup, League Cup. Just an astonishingly good player, and well, who wouldn't want one of them in their team? Finally then, a quick round-up of the rest of the day's transfer news and other news that you might have missed. And FIFA's head of global football development, Arsene Wenger, has made a strong call that we could have automated offsides by the World Cup next year. I don't even want to begin to think what they would look like or how badly they would inevitably mess up. Elsewhere though, and Manchester City are very, very close to agreeing a new deal with midfielder Phil Foden. And finally, some more Newcastle news. Apparently one of their first signings could be Leicester's Wesley Fofana, as they've already made contact with his representative, despite the fact that the defender will be injured until early next year. And in the race to become the next manager, despite the fact that Steve Bruce is still in the job, apparently the book its favourites at the moment is Brendan Rodgers. That's all from me then. Check back tomorrow for loads more OneFootball content.